Hey, yours truly, Brandon Mrfinance, back with another segment of Let's Talk Credit, Money, and Building Wealth in Real Estate. I am your host, Brandon Mrfinance, the millionaire maker looking to make who? You. That's right, you a millionaire too. And you know what I'm going to say? It's your time and it's your turn because it is your time and it's your turn. So get that in your spirit that, again, it's your time and it's your turn. What are we going to talk about? What we always talk about: money, increase, financial freedom, setting up generational wealth, and then doing things in a way where things can work for us and not against us. So many times we create debt that works against us. When you buy a home, not that that's a bad investment, but many times it works against you because you have no additional income from that. And you're heavily relying on what comes in from that job. So, what I teach people to do in my program, I teach them how to borrow cash to buy cash. Start off with a building, right? Or perhaps start off with your good credit. Let's get some cash to buy some real estate that we can change value, create some income tax free capital, and tap into equity and do it in the business name. And then go tap into your first time home buyer rights if you want to buy a building again, because then you can have, multiple streams of income coming in. And then finally, 6 months later, a year down the road, you buy the home that you want, if that be the case, or you build the home that you want. In this economy, right now, the cost of real estate is egregious. So what people are spending 3, 4, 500,000 bucks for, we can show them how they can build it for 100,000, 150, maybe even a quarter million if they want to get really, they want to they want all the bells and the whistles, So, but then they can walk in with equity. They can walk in with great equity because they created it. So find a plot of land, build a house from the ground up. Takes about 5 to 8 months, sometimes 4 months if you got the right crew, but it depends on the season as well. But ultimately, you can buy and build a house in cash. So when you were denied for financing traditionally for FHA and VA and conventional or Fannie and Freddie products, if your credit's good, 680 or higher, 2 years of credit history, no bankruptcies, no foreclosures in the last 3 years, we can get you cash to buy sometimes right away. Sometimes it'll take us 3 months. Sometimes it will take us 6 months. But now you can own it outright because you'll have the cash, the economics to build it from the ground up, and no waiting periods. For people to approve you for what you want to do. You're giving yourself permissions to get there, right? But the other side of that coin is that you can take that good credit and you can borrow some cash, and we can show you how to buy some cheap real estate, improve that real estate value, tap into the equity, right, in your business name, and then get some free money. Yeah, I said it, free money by way of using your good credit, and then derive a passive income, right? And then also retrieve what you put into that investment. So if that's you, if you're someone that wants to create an investment opportunity for yourself, right? Because they're not teaching this in school. They're not teaching this anywhere else, really. I mean, but pretty much I come on the radio, and I know that sometimes I ruffle feathers with it, but, I don't want to say I don't care, but I do care, because people need to know how to create the economics that they want to create to free themselves. They need to learn how to be able to retire and not go back to work due to inflation. And people aren't giving that information out. It's not being handed out. So if you want to get involved in my partnership program, or my mentorship program, or you want my mentorship partnership combo, where you can derive, six-figure incomes, or we can show you how to derive six-figure incomes, income tax free, create several passive income streams, teach you how to build wealth through equity partnerships. Text your name in mentorship if you want the mentorship to 812-244-3609. If you want the partnership program and you've got good credit and you want to derive between 1250 to 14,000 bucks a month in the next 30 days because you have good credit and you fit our criteria, text your name in partnership to 812-244-3609. Now, what I'm going to strongly urge you to do is go online to brandonmrfinance.com, book an appointment. There's no airway that you can turn on. I'm not there. I'm practically everywhere, and so we've stitched ourselves into TV now. So get ready to start seeing me on TV more often because we want people to understand that we have opportunity out here, but we got to know how to seize the moment. And many times, again, we're not taught the information, so we think that it's not for us. It is for us. It is for you, but you have to take the baby steps to get to giant leaps, as I say, right? So if you got good credit and you want your good credit to go to work for you, you want to create a passive income between 1250 and 14,000 bucks a month in the next 30 days. Some of you it will take us 3 months because we got to build out relationships. But in other cases, we can do it right away within 1 to 4 or 1 to 10 days because of good credit, whether you can or can't prove income, high income or low income, just got fired from the job, in a cash-based industry, in a commission-based industry. You sell real estate, you sell cars, you sell furniture, but you've been declined because you're a 1099 employee, but you want to change your life and you want to change it to do things your way. You want to own your time and not sell it. You want to decide how your future is going to look. Text your name in mentorship if you want my mentorship program. Text your name in partnership if you want my partnership program. Or if you want my mentorship partnership combo, text combo to 812 244-3609. That's right. Go to 812-244-3609 and text me what you need. Or go online to brandonmrfinance.com, book an appointment, survey the website, right? I tell people that information is power, but you got to apply it, right? So if you want to get more information about what I do and what we do and how we change lives, and then learn how I got to be the top company of influence for most of your major national institutions. And I can say that boldly, right? So chances are you house your money in these places right now, and they're not giving you opportunity. They don't share this conversation. I tell people, I'm from the south side of Chicago, right? But information that's being dispelled to DuPage County and Kendall County doesn't reach where we are, right? So I'm bringing it here, right? So I'm sharing it with those of you that want to create an increase. I'm sharing it with those of you that are retiring or thinking about retiring and don't want to go back to work due to inflation. Those of you that, that just don't know and you want to know more, right? About how to create the next move and the best move to create generational wealth. We talk about those things, how to build wealth even with bad credit because you have good health, right? There's so many layers that we can talk to you about building, economics, and then put a trust in the will behind it to protect it. So, Lord willing, you won't go anywhere anytime soon. But you know what? If the good Lord does call, you want your family to be secure, right? But you want to live well now and later, and you want your family to live well now and later, and you can set that thing up, right? When you think about big corporations and big organizations, we drive these cars that families build wealth behind. We patronize stores and, buy things and home goods from these stores that big families, wealthy families are deriving more wealth behind. Well, you can create the same increase. People ask me, they say, well, you're rich, Brandon, Mrfinance. It's easy for you to say that. No, I wasn't always rich. And the thing is that it's not about me being rich. It's about me being comfortable. It's about you being comfortable and then creating an opportunity for the next person. I'm a family man. Many of you are family people too. Whether you're married or just have family you love and you care for, you want you want them to be protected, right? You want them to have solutions to finances. You don't want to go through lack, and you don't want them going through lack. You got ideas and dreams that need money to fund, right? You need money to pay your bills, and you don't know how to create the 6-figure or 7-figure income that I talk to people about every single day. But you want to create it. You want to see it in your life. If that's you and you want to partner with me and make between $12.50 and $14,000 a month, text me your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. Text me your name and partnership to 812-244-3609, or go online to brandonmrfinance.com and book an appointment. Fill out the partnership form. Fill out the short form that pops up. Let me know what you need, when you need, how soon you need it. I want to have that conversation with you, right? Because many of you have extra yourself out thinking that you don't qualify. You do qualify. You may not qualify right now by traditional terms, but we can frame it out. Right? You go to jobs and you build corporations every day. You build wealth for other people's last name. But what about your last name? It's time for you to build it for your last name, right? And if it takes a little bit of time, that's okay, right? But at least you're working in the forward direction, forward progress, so that not only can, again, you live well or live better, but you can frame it out for the next people. So what I do in my family, I create businesses not only for my wife, but for my children, right? And I also set up businesses, multiple businesses every year, intentionally for when I want to lock in partnerships, because I can overfund those businesses and I can create business loans and lines of credit. I want to show you how to do the very same thing with or without tax returns, because you have a good credit score and a good credit history that aligns. It's about having the comparable credit, having the bank relationships, and then saying, hey, you know what? This year is my year. I'm going to move forward to get where I want to be. I'm going to own my time. I'm going to decide what I want my increase to be. That's what I do in my partnership program. I condition you to make an extra $12.50 to $14,000 a month, because the job won't condition you for that every single year. I'm saying, hey, take advantage of my opportunity because you have good credit or because you have some cash to invest, and the market is not doing so well right now. But you know what? You want to turn this kind of money and you want to make your money back, and you want to get your investment back in 12 months, 18 months, or 24 months, depending on how you choose to invest in you, your number one asset, you. Text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. Now, some of you say, well, Brandon, Mrfinance, I want the education that goes with it. We're going to give it to you in our partnership program, but in my mentorship program, I bring it home, right? And I talk big numbers. I don't talk small money to people, But if your money's small, I'm not going to X you out. I'm not going to cast you aside. We're going to figure out how to make it grow. Right, because you need money to live a better life. The Bible says money answers all things, and that's in most faiths. They talk about how financial resources are going to be a problem solver or a solution, right? So if you want to create solutions for yourself and you need some money to create those solutions, text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. But in my mentorship program, this is where it gets deep. I started 50 grand to mentor you, but I'm going to show you how to make 100 to 300 grand income tax free in the next 12 to 24 months. Then we're going to build your business credibility where it's allowed. Right now, you need good credit for my mentorship program, because we want to make sure that what we're offering, we deliver. right? So if you want to see that delivery show up in your life, you want to see that money show up in your life, and you want to say, hey, you know what, I want to pass this on to my spouse, to my children. I want them to be a part of this same machine, because now you're creating individual and group economics, right? You want tax shelters, because most of your bills that you pay right now, lights, gas, cable, cell phone, internet, things that go in your house, things that the cars that you drive, the machines that you drive, if you will, the materials that your business needs, the supplies that your business needs, the things that go in your home office, most of those things fit your tax code. Yes, right? I tell people respectfully, I say, if you're paying a light bill and a gas bill, whose name is on that bill? Chances are it's yours or a spouse's or whoever. Some people put their children in their children's name. That's crazy, but you got to do what you got to do. But ultimately, you know, it's going in somebody's name, but it should be a business name. And you need a business, a real business, an active business that's actually reported on the Secretary of State. Why is that important? It's a tax break. They call it an operating expense. When I go to eat with friends and family, and what I teach my students, those who come to my program that are mentored by me, or even in my partnership programs, is get used to making the business pay the bill, right? I don't care if you don't have good credit. Start a business, right? We'll frame it out for you. In my partnership program, you could have terrible credit, right? You could be in bankruptcy and come into a windfall of cash, or somebody believes in you and they want to invest 25 grand up to 200 grand to make between 1250 and 14,000 bucks a month for the next 12 to 24 months. You can decide your increase. Here's the kicker: good credit can make the banks pay for it, right? Because I create a layer of income, I create income behind it for you while we build out what needs to be built out for you, right? So business credit, business financials. We talk about how to get that credit that's not working so well for those of you that have challenge credit cleaned up, because I call it credit deliverance. You need some freedom, and bad credit can be in the way, right? But if you got some money, you can still make money, right? I got peers that are multimillionaires and they have terrible credit, but they know how to make money. All right, they know how to insert themselves into different vehicles that produce money, and that's still a way to do it. Cash is king, but you got to get there. If you don't have any money, you need some credit, or somebody that has the credit, or someone that has the cash. And check this out: you could even pool resources with someone else and say, "Hey, let's build together." Right? You can do more together. There's strength in numbers. That really does exist, right? So if you want to create real financial change and you want to partner with me, and you want between 1250 and 14,000 bucks a month in the next 30 days, worst case 90 days, text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. That's your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. Now, when it takes a little bit longer, when I say 90 days, that means that we have to build a bank relationship in certain banks with you, because they have certain tenure requirements, or 6-month relationships in some banks because they have certain tenure requirements. But we're going to show you how to take your good credit, or that of a spouse, or a business partner, or someone that wants to do business with you, or that will do business with you, and say, hey, this is how we can create greatness. This is how we can develop a password that we can rinse and repeat year after year, and it's honest. No funny business, right? This is how we can create business financials. And if one has good credit, or both of you have good credit, you can go after business financing and funding legitimately and say, hey, this is what my business has done. Or I can take bank deposits and get you business financing without tax returns, with 3 months of bank statements and real lines of credit, not merchant cash advances where they go in and take all your money from you and don't allow you to grow. This is about growth. This is about increase. This is about financial freedom. If you're looking for that, text your name and partnership if you want the partnership program to 812-244-3609, or go online to BrandonMrFinance.com and book an appointment. Fill out that short form, right? I tell people I get nearly 6,000 calls a week, and I'm not exaggerating that. That's really legit, because you hit me on practically every radio outlet, and now TV's coming next. I'm on your streaming and your digital platforms. I spend a lot of money to talk about how to create increase in your life, but also to create increase in my own. I'm not ashamed of that. But I love helping people. I'm passionate about it. I want to help those who don't know how to help themselves to get into a better place. And then hopefully, Lord willing, they'll help others to get into a better space just the same. So that way you're passing along this information: economic increase, financial literacy, right? And then setting up generational wealth that nobody can stop by way of trust and wills, right? And you tap into the insurance sector to grow compound interest. You got to give yourself some vehicles that will make you feel free and get out of the mental prisons, the financial prisons, the lack prisons, right? So if you want change, right, text your name in partnership to 812-244-3609 if you want to invest your way to the top. Some of you have terrible credit but got money in 401ks, 403bs, and TSPs. You can access your retirement funds. I tell people that's going to get taxed at some point anyway, but at least in my program, you can make it grow every year, right? I'm a black and white guy. I don't do verbal. So everything that you do with me will be on paper, but we're going to show you step by step how you'll be able to create the increase that you want to see. A 6-year-old could understand this, right? So it's very simple. So I'm helping you to build wealth based on what I've created in my narrative for 19 years in radio, 28 years in finance, 28 years in real estate. And I built a lot of people to become millionaires. A lot of my clients that started off doing fix and flips are now building new construction. If you go in the Woodlawn area, the Hyde Park area, a lot of those new developments are my clients. The southern suburbs of Chicago, a lot of those clients that are building are my clients, right? They started off flipping houses, not knowing what they were doing, but we taught them, right? So if you want to create real financial change and you want to see it show up in your life now, and you want to create real wins, text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. Text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. Or perhaps you say, Brandon Mrfinance, I want to get into your mentorship program. I want to make between 100 and 300,000 bucks in the next 12 to 24 months, income tax free. And you say, how is that possible? I call it equity. You call it equity, but you got to learn how to get to the equity and build the equity to make it be attractive in your life. And then, you know what? We have the audacity to make it have a passive income component too. Yeah. And then you say, hey, you know what? I want to make two passive incomes. I want to get into your partnership program too. I tell you to do my mentorship partnership combo, right? So if this is something that you want, text your name and mentorship. If you just want the mentorship to 812-244-3609. But understand, I'm unapologetic in my price tag. It costs you $50,000 minimum to get in my program. You say, well, I don't have $50,000 Brandon's Finance. Got good credit? Yes, you do. Got retirement funds? Yes, you do. And then we're going to make your money grow, right? And you're going to see exactly how it's done. And again, I put it on paper first so you can see it, right? But I have lots of testimonials, so when I have live events, you can see it. You can see lots of people that have come through my program and have built real numbers. I've got couples that have never physically seen me making $200,000-300,000 a year because they have good credit. They wanted more, and they started off on fixed incomes, right? But they understood the power of good credit. I got people that were retiring, capped at making $15,000 to $18,000 or $22,000 a year on Social Security or Social Security disability, and say, hey, these meds cost too much, this food costs too much, life is really giving me a run for it, but I want to change it. I've got good credit, Brandon Mrfinance. Let's have that conversation. You're going to create a business, and you're going to learn how to navigate through the tax code legally, right? So I consider myself kind of a disruptor because you know what? People need to know how to protect themselves. And right now, the job market, the real estate market, most things out there are not protecting the everyday person, but they need someone that's an advocate for them. I try to be that person as best I can, right? And then I give you connections to money, right? I give you who to talk to about money. I give you the language that is legitimately, used to procure money so that you can invest in yourself, your number one asset, so that you can invest in insurance, again, investing back into you, investing in your spouse and your children, investing into them, right? So if you want change and you want it now, you got two ways to do it. Text your name in partnership if you want $1,250 to $14,000 a month, and you can do that for the next 12 to 24 months, and you can reinvest in yourself if you like it because we give you your money back plus profits in 12 to 24 months. We don't waste any time putting you to an extra, $5,000 to $136,000 a year in profits. It's simple. Good credit's the vehicle. So if you want it, you can text your name in partnership to 812-244-3609 or go online to my website, Vet Me. I challenge you. I offer you. I ask you to get familiar with me. I've been around a long time, right? But typically helping millionaires become multimillionaires and some on the cusp of other numbers, right? Because of what the contracts that they land. They may not have it in hand right now, but a contract can set you up for life, right? When you think about most government agencies, when they rent space out from a person or a business, they rent for 100 years. Well, that's 100 years of income that you have the power to create. And that can go for generations. But if you don't know how to tap in, if you're afraid to have that conversation, it doesn't happen in your world. I'm not afraid to ask you for $50,000 or $200,000 to put $136,000 behind you, extra, right? And then be able to rinse and repeat that, and then create 2 or 3 or 4 other passive incomes, and then create protections by way of insurance and trust and wills. This is what rich people and wealthy people are doing. Small-minded people can't understand big things, but we want to change that, right? We want you to understand that you're deserving of the very same things that the rich and the wealthy are, and you make the rich and the wealthy because you invest heavily in them every day when you buy gas for your car, when you pay a car note, right? When you go in grocery stores. These are all corporations making money, right? You patronize them. Banks make money on your money. I use them, so they have a value to me like I have a value to them. But, I learned to leverage. The tax code was designed for the business owner, not for the everyday working person. I tell people, if you don't have a business, I don't care if you don't know what you want to do, create a business anyway. And then start to retool your life, reorganize your life to create business bills, business debt, operating expenses. Get familiar with buying your increase and then getting tax breaks. I teach this every single day. I don't care if you're 85 years old. You say, well, I only make $700 a month, Brandon Mrfinance, and I can't make more than this. Who told you that? Why are you letting people put a ceiling on your life? Right? You have good credit. It speaks a language to banks. Start a business, right? Borrow some cash. at 0%. Build a home in cash at 0%. Open a store in cash at 0%. Pay employees by way of corporate credit at 0%, and then get free money when you pay the bill. And while you build business credit, this I'm giving you free good nuggets on the air, right? I do a whole lot more in my program because we make it show up in your life. Because for the first time in your life, you can actually start living. Most of you are just existing. You're not living. Life been giving you a run for it. It's then say, oh, it's a recession. It's not a recession for you. You ain't never made no money. So what are we talking about? But you can still make money. There's still opportunity. When you think about a lot of these big corporations that we patronize for food, many of them got rich in their late 50s and 60s. You know, some of the billionaires didn't become billionaires until they were 80 years old. That's legit. Research it. The third and fourth wealthiest man in the world didn't become a billionaire until 80 years old. Right? Now, they were millionaires a long time, before that, but ultimately they built it. They saw opportunity, they worked toward it, right? They didn't sit on their hands wondering what if it's not going to work. They said, hey, you know what? I got to give myself a fighting chance. I got to try, at least try. Have the conversation. The conversation is free. Now, I tell people when you call me or when you text me, the best way to do it, if you want to get a hold of me, is block it in my calendar on my website, or I can send you the link. Blocking an appointment, even with my team, it's a lot. We got a lot of agents. But getting 6,000 calls a week is aggressive, because now we're informing people about how to change their life legitimately, and do it their way. When was the last time that someone could tell you how to make an extra $15,000 to $136,000 a year that you could decide every year? That's never happened for you. I know it. I'm the first person on the airwaves on digital platforms ever doing this, right? So it comes with some blowback. It comes with some challenges, but I'm okay with that, because you know what? If it helps your family, if it helps 1,000 families or 10,000 families, I've done my job, right? But it's your job to keep it going, right? So if you want real financial increase, you want to be mentored to money, or you want to partner with me, or you want to buy real estate and get 100% financing through our combo practices, legitimately using the bank's money to buy increase, and then deciding how you want your future to look. I'm going to give you a couple options. If you want funding, text your name and funding to 812-244-3609. But understand it comes with a bill. If you want the partnership program, it comes with a bill too, but we're going to show you how to use the bank's money to pay for it. If you want that because we took away that smaller program. So we're reading ourselves a smaller thinking. If you want to make between $3,333 to $14,000 a month in the next 30 to 90 days, and you want that to be a constant in your life for the next 1 to 2 years, or longer if you decide to keep reinvesting because you've now found that you can condition yourself for more financial increase. Text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. I tell people this: if you're making less than $250 or $350 a year, I can run laps around people that all that time you give up with good credit, because you can produce most of what you can net in income tax free capital inside of 12 months, right, or 24 months. Just get on the path to doing it, and then you repeat that process, and then you have passive streams that go with it: 2, 3, 4, 5 passive streams, and then you say to your spouse or to your children, "Hey, let me develop you too." To your business partners, let me get you in position too, right? Because now what you're doing is you're organizing money in your circle, in your platform, in your sphere, and you're able to do individual and group economic bills. I'm so proud of some of my peers, even though we don't do business together in that particular light. I'm proud to see some of my colleagues and my alumni from high school working together, 6, 8, 10 of them, doing real estate, doing events, doing not-for-profits and for-profit situations that bring revenue, but that also bring awareness. I love to sponsor events for children. I love to talk to seniors. My largest database of clients in my partnership program are those who are seniors, right? Those who don't trust people with their money, they trust me with their money, because guess what? We make checks show up every month, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20,000 bucks. Some people are making 36,000 bucks a month because they chose to keep reinvesting, because they said, hey, you know what? I want this one to go to my son, this one to go to my wife, this one to go to my daughter, this one to pay for my children's college fund, this one to pay for my mortgage, this one to pay for all my business expenses. You can create that. Yeah. A lot of it you can do at 0%. I'm real open about it, right? Because it's in plain sight. But if you don't know how to build it, and you're not with the person that knows how to build it organically, you could be in trouble. But in my program, we're going to teach you all the steps legitimately, right? You're going to know when you talk to a bank or a banker, at these banks, or a regional or a district, or, a someone that's in management positions, that, hey, I got real influence in banks. No funny business, right? I have real power in banks because I bring them people that have solid credit, that care about their credit, that but that also can say to a spouse or to a child, that someone that can reach the people, and people will receive information from them, wholly, because they know this person doesn't play about credit, they don't play about their bills. Because what we want to do is pass down opportunity through families. We want to pass down opportunity through business partners. I love to meet complete strangers. I call it shock payment. when I owned a mortgage company, if you were renting and you were paying $700 a month, and the mortgage that you were going to buy was going to go to 2,500, call that shock payment. What if I made $1,800 a month extra show up in your life every month? That's shock income, right? It's time for it, right? Because and now that you know that it can be done, you want to do that again. So we condition you to win. We show you how to get out the poorhouse. Not so much financially, but mentally. Because I got clients right now that have 2, 3, 400,000 bucks net that they can access right now. And they got poor mentalities. They got money in retirement funds and they don't want to touch it because they're afraid of taxes. What did you save it for? Right? If you're not going to use it, then what did you save it for? So it's time to make that money go to work for you, this time for you, because right now you make that money go to work for corporations for 20, 30, 40 years. You went the distance to make them richer and get tax breaks for giving you the money and then also leveraging your asset. And then when you get the money because of accumulation, it's taxed even higher. There's something wrong with that. But you didn't position yourself for wins. You don't know how to move that money from qualified to qualified and then grow compound interest. Learn that game, right? There are so many things that you could do. Business directed IRAs. I could talk about this to Kingdom Come Up. I've learned over these last 28 years how to really build wealth, right? And how to build my qualified buyers and qualified investors, how to set my family up to be free based on what I've created, even if they don't sign on the dotted line. I could open a business and I could tell my wife or tell my kids, hey, I'm going to put you on my business. I can go out and build business credit for that business. They ain't got to get no bills, right? But because everyone in my household must be on my payroll, I get a tax break. But what am I also doing? I'm preparing them to qualify for what they want because they have more income that they can verify. So even if they work a job or they have an idea, they have some sort of verifiable income that they can say, hey, you know what, I made XYZ with my husband or my dad or whoever, my business partner, because we created it, right? They can have terrible credit and we can say, you know what, let's get your credit together so that in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whenever your credit's where it needs to be, you have bank relationships and you can live behind what I created for the businesses, got financials, or they got solid bank statements, and we can get the business line of credit, and we can start what's on your heart. That dream can be ignited based on what you create, or what I create, or whoever creates. You got to get in position to win, but if you don't get in position to win, you'll be right where you are, talking about, woe is me, woulda, coulda, shoulda. No, you got to act on these things. It's time, right? So if you want real financial change and you want it now, I give you 3 or 4 opportunities. If you just need funding and you want to pay a bill on your own, or maybe just expand what you already have, then text your name and funding to 812-244-3609. If you want me to mentor you, understand that it's going to cost you a minimum $50,000 to get in my mentorship program, up to $200,000. But we're going to show you how to make $100 to $300,000 income tax free over the next 12 to 24 months. We're going to insert real estate in your life for more passive streams and income tax free capital, right? We're going to help you to develop business financials so you have books, right? What I've learned is that when the reason the rich get what they want to get, yeah, they get tax breaks, but they have paperwork. You're so busy trying not to pay taxes that you don't realize that where it's putting you in a declining situation. It's okay to get your tax breaks, but you want to show money because you want the banks to give you more money so that way you can buy more increase and create more opportunities and go buy you a yacht and then put it under the tax code in the business name. Go buy you a car that's 6,000 pounds and put it in the business name and get the tax break through Section 179, right? Put all your bills, personal and corporate, and all your travels in your corporate situation because now you can expense down because it becomes corporate travel, corporate housing, corporate lodging, corporate cars, corporate credit, right? You're not tapping in. And it's going to go over a lot of people's heads if they don't tap in, but if you want to create change and you want to create change, now I want to show you how to get there, right? And I talk about this on practically every radio outlet and now TV, 5 networks we've signed on to, right? So get ready for that, right? So you're going to see my face on your TV next talking about how to create change because you know what? We want you to see that it's relative. I'm a kid from Roseland, right, in the Chicago area. I didn't see this for myself, but my mom was my influencer, my hero to me, and ultimately God's number one. But what she taught me, I took it a step further, 10 steps further, right? And so it's my job to make this explode in my family with my wife and my kids. But as I teach you, you can do the very same thing and make finances show up, make good credit show up, make resources and means. The reason why most businesses fail, they don't have access to capital. They don't have the resources, right? So I bring all those things to you. Then I bring the financial plans to make your money grow compounded and show you how you're going to design not only your future, but your family's future and for generations, not just a right now situation, but how you're going to live and not just exist, right? So if you want that change in your life, you got a couple ways of doing it. My mentorship program, my partnership program that pays you between $1,250 to $14,000 a month in the next 30 days if you have qualified credit, if you will, right? If you just want funding, then we offer funding, right? And if you want to do the mentorship partnership combo, then you can text combo. You can do whatever you're looking for. Text that to 812 244-3609, or go online to brandonmrfinance.com. So if you want the partnership, text your name in partnership to 812-244-3609. You say, Brandon Mr. Finance, I need some money now. Life is giving me a real run for it, and I need to get rid of some of this debt. I've been paying student loans, or I've been deferring student loans for 20 years. They should have been paid off, but you didn't have a vehicle to the money, so you kept going to school. You became a professional student, surrounding yourself in debt, disqualifying yourself for opportunity when it comes to buying houses the traditional way, because student loan debt counts against you. But in my world, it means nothing, because I do everything by way of a business or good credit. Student loan debt don't exist. Does the property make sense? Does your good credit have the value that we need to give you capital to be able to invest in your dreams? If you want that in your life and you want it now, text your name in partnership or your name in combo to 812-244-3609. Let's take this call. How you doing, callers?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just love your show. Been listening to you since you came on.
Thank you.
I do have a question though that I found kind of curious though. A couple of weeks ago, someone called and asked how old you were, and I believe you told them you were 48.
No.
If you've been doing this for 28 years, how does an 18-year-old get into this type of mindset, and how did you do that?
So, my mother was a real estate investor. She created a marketing for one of the largest companies in the world, and they basically expired her and took her marketing. So she decided that she was going to go into real estate with the buyout monies, and so she started fixing houses in the Pullman area. And I watched her buy houses at 12,000, 17,000, and put 30, 40,000 bucks in them, and then turn around and pull cash out heavily. And before you know it, she owned the community, or a lot of the community in that area. And so she got lots of money, income tax free, recouped her investment, derived a passive income by way of real estate. Never showed a W-2, a tax return, a pay stub for any of it. So that's how I got started. So I started right before I turned 15 years old, working under my mother. And I just honestly, I learned from contractors how to hang drywall, how to do floors, how to mask mud and tape, painting. So that skill set developed as a team for me, and I kept it going. So rather than, go do the year of therapy to play professional baseball, I chose to stick by my mom. And I just took real estate by storm. And I got licensed to do loans. They didn't require to do licensing at that time. It wasn't until 2004. But I started doing loans at 18 years old. I got licensed as an appraiser at 18, and I just kept going. So that's where my start came from.
Beautiful, beautiful, awesome. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
I continue to listen.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck to you.
I appreciate you for calling. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah, so, but those are things that, and I'm glad that she called in, because, those things are relative. People want to know the answers, and I want to give them, and I want to give them upfront and honest. But yeah, my mother, that's how it all started for me, and that's where my life took a different shape, and once I learned that I could make a bunch of money without having to go through training. I mean, not that I wasn't, lazy, not that I was lazy, but I didn't want to train every day. I didn't want to, I might want to just lay down for 12 or 13 or 14 hours a day if I wanted to, or sleep in for 3 or 4 days if I wanted to. I could do that if I'm not working for somebody else, not under somebody else's machine. So with good credit, a lot of my clients being on Social Security, on fixed incomes, or maybe some lost their job, right? Some have never worked a job on paper, but they're in cash-based industries. They sell goods, in flea markets or other places, or do vendor events. That's still a business. But you got to create a real business and make it live and active, recognized by the state. You got to create a bank account and make it live and active, recognized by banks and recognized by the state. So now you can, with your good credit, you have the power to create the increase by having a conversation about what you need, where you want your business to go, where you want your business to grow, right? And then you build people around you to have qualified credit, because now what you're doing is just setting up success principles, education, financial resources, or means to more finance, so that way you can do individual and group economic things. So that's important. Good credit is the vehicle. But if you don't have any credit at all, or you have terrible credit, you have some money, you can still insert yourself into things that will build for you. If you're in good health, you can always take a look at insurance. You have the right to ask your financial planner or your insurance provider, how much do I need to invest in me to create this kind of income by way of the insurance, because I have good health? These are the conversations that rich families have, right? Their children see them buy cars and buy a new car every year, every 6 months, or they lease vehicles. In some cases, they buy them cash. In some cases, I buy them cash for me personally. I don't do any debt on vehicles. If I buy a Range Rover or a Bentley, I'm going in with cash. It's going in my business name, and guess what? I can write it off, but I can also put that vehicle in a program where I can charge people, like in prom season, or someone gets married, I can charge $1,800, $2,200 an hour right? So I called for my oldest son the other day. He wants to go in a Rolls Royce to Prime. I said, well, it won't be mine. But I said, but the agency wanted to charge me between $600 and $1,700 a month, right? I mean, sorry, an hour. Sorry, excuse me, an hour to go, and they have a 4 hour minimum. I said, oh, I'm not doing this right. I need to rethink this thing because if I can put my Rolls Royce in something, then I can get $1,200 an hour, right? Then that's pretty good money. A 4 hour minimum, that's $4,800. That's more than a note if you had a car note. But if you have no note on it, that's great. You could do that 3 or 4 times a month if you make it 20 grand. I mean, every week you could do that 3 or 4 times a week, per month, and be making 20 grand. Per month. I'm saying 3 or 4 days. I said it right the first time. Yeah. So $4,800 a day, 4 times a month. That's almost 20 grand. Good credit was the vehicle for that. Because if they're looking at your comparable credit, your car credit history, your mortgage history, your overall credit picture, have you ever financed anything like this? Or we can get you cash to buy it in cash. Go to the auction and buy it. Right? Buy it for a lot less money. That's my thing. I'm the cheapest, most expensive person I know. I don't want to pay full price for anything. Although I have paid full price for a few things. But many things I don't pay full price for. I like the discount. I like the wholesale price. Get familiar with that. You got to make things work in your favor. Now, you can't just be a consumer and not consume something because that's what most people's lives look like. They're just consuming, right? There is no increase. They work to the end of life, and the way inflation is set, that's how it's gonna be if you don't do something different. But if you want something different, you got to do something different. If you got good credit and no money, you say, Brandon, I got 40 cents in my account, but I got a 750 credit score, and I got 2 years of credit history. I got no bankruptcies. I pay my bills. If nothing else, I keep my name and my credit good, right? And I want some money. And I'm 70 now, and I want to make $10,000 a month. I want to live, and I want to set up my children and grandchildren. Text your name and partnership to 812-244-3609. Or if you want my mentorship program, you want your good credit to invest the money to create returns, then text your name and mentorship to 812-244-3609. My mentorship program starts at 50 grand and it goes to 200 grand. But we're going to show you how to make between 100 and 300,000 bucks in 12 to 24 months in our program, income tax free, leveraging real estate, leveraging insurance, and other vehicles that will allow you to grow. So I'm not going to give all my secret sauce out on the radio, but I'm telling you this kind of stuff exists, and rich people have been doing it forever, maxing the tax code. And if you don't get in position, you'll be a worker to the end of life. Now some of you were fortunate, you were good stewards over your finances, so you came to some inheritance, and you got some blessings. But for most people, if they don't do something different, they will work to the end of life, tired, feeling beat down, feeling unaccomplished. And you matter. Let me tell you that. You matter, right? If I didn't have my mother to tell me that, that I mattered and give me and express so much love, and I had other family, but my mom was who I received from the most, right? It really pushed me and it propelled me to do things. It let me see things because I was exposed to it. So my wife and my kids, they're exposed to it. Those that join my partnership program or my mentorship program, they're exposed to it. Guess who else is exposed to it? Their families. So now they know that it's possible for them. That part right there is the real light bulb. It's the real aha moment. So if you want to create change now and you want to see money show up in your life now because you have good credit or you have cash to invest and you're like, my credit's not so good, Brandon Mrfinance, but I want to make my money grow. I want to see passive income, in multiplicity. I wanted to come by way of insurance to create a passive income. I want to use your partnership program. I want to do real estate, and I want to set up my spouse, my children, those that I love and I care for, my business partners. I want to make the banks pay the bill for me, and I want tax breaks. I want them to give me money and I want tax breaks. Or if your credit's not so good and I got my own money to start until I get my credit right, I want to get in position, Brandon Mrfinance, position me. Text your name in partnership or your name in mentorship to 812-244-3609 or go online to BrandonMrFinance.com or you can tune into me everywhere. Whenever you get in your car, I'm on the radio. I can promise you that every hour. I got 279 commercials a day. Plus, I got 23 radio shows, and now we're locking into 5 TV outlets. You can't run from me in media. That's intentional. I was intentional about the way that I wanted to grow, but I was also intentional about the way I want to help other people to grow. That's what I'm saying. It's not a bragging moment, but it's more about, hey, you know what? It wasn't always easy. I know what the ramen noodle diet is. I know what the looking through drawer for change and dollars look like. I mean, I know how I feel like when money, you feel like money is hiding from you. But I know what being rich feels like too. And I've been able to, fortunately, by God's grace, help other people to get rich or at least be comfortable in life. If you don't want to be rich, you want to be happy. You want to be comfortable. You want to do for you and your family. You want peace. If I can give you that, I've done my job, right? But hopefully you can pass that blessing along to those you love and you're careful. So if you want more information, go online to BrandonMrFinance.com. That's BrandonMrFinance.com. Book an appointment. Fill out that short form. I tell people respectfully, give me a couple days to call you back. Some people, I say, give me a week. I mean, between me and my team, we really are catching about 24,000 calls a month. And I never thought that was even possible. I was happy when I was getting 200 or 300 calls a week. When I was up to 6,000 calls a week, pretty much on average, because of what I put out there. People are looking for the increase. People are looking to fire their boss or fire that job. Some of you are depressed when you walk in that job. You have a great energy until you walk in that workplace, and it soaks up your energy. You feel unaccomplished, but you want to be accomplished. Let's talk about that. I don't care if you only make $8 an hour. I want to have a conversation with you because your current circumstances don't define your tomorrow. God could do anything, and it's on God's time anyway. But you know what? Make prayer your number one. Your number one thing you do in life, and then live right. Do right by people. That's important because what you put out there will come back, right? So I put out good energy. I put out good resources. I put out positive energy. I put out growth in people's lives where they allow me to insert these things into their life, into their space, and Lord willing, they'll promote it in their family too, and in their partnerships too. Because you know what? That's what it's about for me. Creating change that's sustainable, right? And having a new victory every month. Having an accountability partner, having someone that can teach you how to be successful. Because I learned from successful people. I learned early from my mom, and then I met other people along the way, right? And so now I teach people. A pastor told me years ago, he said, you're gonna be a teacher, Brandon. I wasn't Brandon Mrfinance at that time. I was just going by my government name, Brandon Ellington. I know that's probably I'm telling you who I am because I don't hide it. But he said you're gonna be rich, and I said respectfully, Pastor, no, I'm not. I'm rich. And I didn't mean that in a boasting manner. I just mean I wasn't gonna go back to school to teach kids. I got enough kids in my house already, right? But um, I teach kids free now, right? So if you got children that are 6 to 26, I have events where I do it via Zoom, and I have some in-person meetings where you could even come with it because most of the parents aren't educated on this information either. So I invite you to teach your kids free. It's my give back. Everything's not a money. It's not a money situation. It's important what you do to actually help people, and it can grow from there. You can make money down the stretch, but you know what? Once you inform people about what they can do, and they see someone who's doing it, and you bring others in who are doing it, it's like, hey, this opportunity exists for me, right? So if you want more information about that, I definitely will share that with you. Text your name and what you're looking for to 812-244-3609, or go online to brandonmrfinance.com and book an appointment. Fill out the short form. My heart bleeds through this radio. It bleeds through all my marketing because you know what? I know that I know what it's like to have a need and to feel like, man, nobody cares, right? Decide between the light bill and the gas bill, which one is more important? Walking up that cold room because you don't want to cut them lights off, because you got that space heater. I've been there, right? So, but now I live a pretty good life, and I help others do the same, and I'm unapologetic about it. And you should be the very same. So we want to pass that blessing along to you, the blessings in being a blessing, right? So I feel like God rewards me because I help people, and I'm genuine about it, and I want to help you. Even if you don't come through my program, I'm still gonna talk about this information every day on the radio and on TV. So you can get used to me, settle in because I'm here, right? But if you want financial change in your life, and you want something that's gonna genuinely help you and has a heart for you, even if you can't do anything right now, I will still talk to you about how to get where you want to be, and I have multiple conversations with you about how to get where you need to be, where you want to be. So, if you want information about my program, or go to BrandonMrFinance.com. That's BrandonMrFinance.com. If you want to book an appointment, go to BrandonMrFinance.com. It'll be a Zoom or phone call initially, so we can see where you are. And if you're where we need you to be, we're going to have it in person, or we can do everything electronically. But ultimately, we want to build people to kind of scale and get the life that they want to get and that they feel they deserve, right? So no more denying yourself success. No more talking yourself out of dreams. No more letting people talk you out of your success, because it's yours. What God has for you is for you, right? But you got to execute, So I call it pray, plan, execute, demand. Make that your narrative in life, Think about it. Talk to God about it first. Plan it. Execute it. And then make that thing show up in your life. So if you want more information, you want these things to become vehicles in your life, text your name in partnership or your name in mentorship to 812-244-3609. I'm going to show you how to borrow cash to buy cash and get tax breaks for living a better life. I'm going to show you how to build wealth using the bank's money and get tax breaks, right? I'm going to show you how to set your family up and get tax breaks for them and you, right? Because of what you created. I'm going to show you how to build business credit. I'm going to show you how to own your time, right? I'm going to show you how to do fine dining, wear clothes, travel, live a luxurious life, and make those things a tax break because you have to learn the tax code, but you got to get in position. So if you want more information, go to BrandonMrFinance.com and book an appointment or fill out that short form or simply call me or text me at 812-244-3609. I must make you aware if you just call and lock my number and do that, but the best way to do it is either book an appointment or shoot me a text. I get a lot of calls, and I know that, it's kind of crazy to put myself out on the radio, but I do, because I want people to know that they're dealing with a real person. someone that's concerned about their need and wants to speak to that need, and no longer wants you to suffer in silence. Some people have suicide on the brain, and they have good credit, not realizing that they have good credit. That good credit speaks a language to banks that they can have money within days, right? And they can buy increase. You could buy a house in cash or build a house in cash. You could build tiny homes. You could start a business. You can start, whatever's on your heart. But you got to understand that good credit has a value. Banks place value on people that pay their bills, right? So we help you to make money by way of my passive income, by way of real estate passive incomes, by way of insurance, passive streams, and generational wealth, trust and wills, right? Insurance, right? And then spill that over into those you love and you care for. So that way that it becomes the narrative in your family and in your partnership, in your relationships, whatever the case may be, right? In your ministry, right? So if you have a church or a charity or a faith-based organization and you need capital, let's build it, right? Because many of you are waiting on grants, and it's not always going to show up the way that you want it. But you know what? Create some revenue passively or residually or other ways through the for-profit, and then marry the not-for-profit as the manager. I gave you some free game right there, right? Make the not-for-profit manage the for-profit's finances, and do what I call a pass-through. If you're not familiar with that, get in position, y'all, and then get the grants and in-kind donations, because then you can say, I own these properties. Then have conversations with banks because you own property that produce income. You have assets now, so if your business is transportation, if it's real estate, if it's financial, if it's a law practice, whatever you got going on, if you got good credit or if you don't have good credit, you have some cash or have someone that has good credit and you want to get involved in my partnership program or the mentorship program, text your name and partnership or your name and mentorship to 812-244-3609, your name and partnership or your name and mentorship to 812-244-3609, or go online to BrandonMrFinance.com. That's BrandonMrFinance.com. Vet me, I'll tell you. I'm very open. I'm okay with no, right? So if you want to, but I'm very okay with yes too, right? But when the checks start rolling in right now, because right now we have 244 people that make between $3,000 and $36,000 a month with us. I'm real open about that too, right? And it's legit. I get some funny calls from people that saying, well, they think is it a Ponzi scheme? No, you don't have to do my program. I mean, I'll show you other ways in my partnership program or mentorship program that'll do just the same for you, but you got to cover the bill. Right. In my program, we're going to show you how to make the banks cover the bill for you while you create increase using their money. Right. So you got to get familiar with borrowing cash to buy cash and getting tax breaks for doing so. So again, if you want more information, go online to BrandonMrFinance.com. That's BrandonMrFinance.com. Book an appointment. Fill out the short form. Let me know who you are, what you're looking for, how soon you need it. Let's have a conversation. I will tell you right now that 90% plus of my people that call me right now, or 90% plus people that call me right now, are looking for a passive income. They're looking for a better way. They look for a way to quit that job and free themselves and create generational wealth and financial freedom and get rid of that debt. Well, we're going to show you vehicles that will create good debt, that create passive income, that allow you to grow in an organic way, but also protect your family and generations to follow. So if you want more information, again, go to BrandonMrFinance.com, book an appointment, and fill out that short form, or call me or text me at 812-244-3609. My voicemail feels fast. 525 voicemails I delete almost every single day. That's a lot. So between me and my assistant, we got a lot of work to do, right? But ultimately, if you want change in your life and you want it now, let's make it show up. Go to BrandonMrFinance.com and book an appointment, or call me or text me at 812-244-3609. It's been a plum pleasure to serve you again. I am Brandon Mr. Finance, the millionaire maker, looking to make who? That's right, you, a millionaire too. I thank you for your time. God bless.
The talk of Chicago is 1690 WVOM Sherwin, Chicago.